Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Tyler Show. Another week, more drama. The divisional round was crazy, and that's really what we're going to be talking about today. And today, as always, I have Matthew Brice, the one and only, the great Matthew Brice. But we also have Austin Schiller on the show. How y'all doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Fantastic.
Doing great. Still coping with the Cowboys loss a little bit, as I'm sure you're maybe coping with the Steelers loss a little bit.
Yeah, I know.
Just had to remind you of that one.
Thanks. I beat you in fantasy, so.
Yeah, you did. You did do that. You did beat me in fantasy, but.
Pretty badly, too.
Yeah, it's okay. Don't worry. My team's winning in life right now, so.
Life.
Yeah,
Just elaborate.
Yeah,
life.
they're in Cancun right now.
Yeah, they're in Cancun. What's your team doing?
Probably in Cancun.
That is true. Hey, the Cancun Bowl is going to be great, man.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. But listen, we're just jumping right into it. We're talking about the divisional round. There's a lot of drama, but we're going to go game by game, kind of break it down, talk about the key points of this game, and just see what's going to happen coming up in the next round. So starting off, Ravens 34, Texans 10. I mean, come on. Was anybody expecting it to be that bad?
No.
The Ravens winning was not a surprise.
Right.
I expected something around 28-17, 28-21.
Right.
But Baltimore showed what they really are.
Right.
That front seven, that is championship football.
Yes,
It is.
Absolutely.
Great play in the trenches on both sides of the ball. They took it to Houston. Great linebacker play.
Yep.
Which some teams and franchises take note.
Please. Genuinely, like our team, the Dallas Cowboys need to shore up the linebackers. We talked about this last week on our virtual show. It'll be in the description. You can check out the channel if you want to watch that. But yeah, there are certain teams that need to learn from what the Ravens are doing.
The Ravens and San Francisco.
Yeah. Right.
No, I mean, the Ravens are just an all-around super impressive team. I don't like it as a Steelers fan. It makes me mad. But what I can say is that Lamar Jackson's playing his best football right now, I feel like. And that defense is scary. Roquan Smith, Kyle Hamilton, the list goes on. There's multiple players. Patrick Queen. I don't want to see them. Even with Marlon Humphrey out, they're terrifying. I don't want to face them. And then they could possibly get Mark Andrews back next week. Possibly.
And that is
I don't want
scary.
that. I don't want that. Then again, I don't like the Chiefs either, but we'll get into that.
And that's so horrifying for anybody, especially NFC teams, right? Because let's be honest, the Ravens are probably going to the Super Bowl, barring, some Mahomes magic, which let's be honest, Mahomes magic could happen.
That's going to be a fun game.
It's going to be so much fun. We'll talk about that later, obviously.
Right.
But just the Ravens showed so much, right? But I kind of wanted to pose this question, right? Did the Texans fall flat, or did the Ravens just show how good they really are?
I believe Baltimore showed how good they really are.
Agreed.
They really are that good, and this is what happens in playoff football. Don't get me wrong. I love C.J. Stroud, and I love and respect what Houston is doing down south at I-45. But championship football, I cannot stress it enough. Winning in the trenches on both sides of the ball, great linebacker play, that's where it starts. Good safety play, too. You spoke about Kyle Hamilton.
Beast.
I mean, there it is right there. They really, really took it to Houston, and they showed how good they really are. There is nothing – when the playoffs come, that's when the real is revealed.
Absolutely.
Right.
And no disrespect to Houston, but this is more so about what Baltimore is.
I did want to bring up some stats maybe that kind of says the Texans maybe fell a little flat as well. C.J. Stroud, per Pro Football Reference, had 7 bad throws. Last week he only had 1.
Right.
So he almost doubled his percentage there of just bad throws that he had. He only had 1 drop. So, it's not really on his receivers, obviously. Right. But what I did want to say, right, his average yards per attempt just in the air was 6.7 yards, as opposed to last week was 9.8. So I kind of want to point to the play calling a little bit as well on Houston's side. That are you getting away from what made you really good in the first place? Because Houston did really well, obviously throughout the regular season and even last week versus Cleveland, of just airing the ball out and getting just, obviously you're having great receiver play, but also great quarterback play. And if you don't give him a chance to kind of ball out in that front, how are you going to get away from, what made you really good? Cowboys. Wow.
Talking to you, Dan Quinn.
Yeah, Dan
particularly. But, Austin, he provides a very good point with that. Now, what I will say is some of that may have been due to the fact that they went into a hostile environment.
Yes, very hostile. That environment, you don't want to play in that. In January, December, you don't want to play in that.
That's a scary environment.
And you being a Pittsburgh fan and being the number one arch rival to Baltimore,
Oh, it's terrifying. It's bad.
So I think that was part of it. Sure. And then when you go into that hostile environment facing again that front seven, they start getting after you a little bit. They don't just rattle your QB. It sometimes rattles your play caller.
Yeah,
puts you in a spot to where, okay, I don't like this. To that point, they still had a chance because what was it, 13-10 at halftime?
Yeah.
It was very close.
10-10?
It was a close game. I know that for sure.
It was very close. It was like 3-3, 10-10, something along the lines of that. It was low scoring in the first half.
I know at one point it was 10-10 after that punt return touchdown.
Right.
And that was at the end of the second quarter.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
Well, a little bit before, because Baltimore got the ball back and Houston forced the 3 and out.
Yeah.
So they had a chance to do something then, but I think Baltimore being at home and coming out in the second half, we saw the halftime adjustments by Harbaugh and his staff, and they were able to put Houston away.
And then also Baltimore ran the ball down their throat. Like it was 200 plus yards rushing. I don't know the exact number, but I know it was like 200, maybe 250 plus. That was insane. And Houston ran it for not even 50, maybe 60. That was it. So like when you're losing the game like already and you can't stop the run, you have no hope, especially not when all Lamar Jackson has to do is make 1 or 2 big throws, and they're in the red zone automatically. And then you're running 5 or 6 yards a pop. Like, no, you can't stop that.
Playoff football.
Yeah.
No matter how much this league changes, no matter how much of a passing league it becomes, running the football is still playoff football. It is still the recipe to winning a championship.
Agreed.
Because if you look at that game as well, Texans offensive line did Devin Singletary no favors.
Yeah, that was bad.
He was getting stopped up like every single time. It was ugly. It was bad.
Ugly.
And CJ Stroud as well was pressured 22.9% of the time in that game, as opposed to the week before. Again, Cleveland has a very good defensive front as well, only pressuring 14.3% of the time. That's like a 10% jump.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
They also play Cleveland and Houston.
True.
Not on the road.
That is true.
In Cleveland.
And that is a part of it, but it's still a ferocious front seven regardless.
And so this is where I say Houston, as good of a job that they did this year, this is where the growing pains come in.
Yeah.
This is where they have to grow up. Because a veteran-laden team that is mature, the defense will travel.
Absolutely.
Defense and running game, they travel, which explains the Kansas City Buffalo game.
Right.
We're going to get to that, though.
Yeah.
Maybe stop going too fast.
We'll get into that. But I really think that Houston is set up so well next year.
They are.
I mean, as long as, Bobby Slowick or somebody doesn't get hired away, because I know some teams are trying to interview him.
Yes.
As long as that team stays remotely, even remotely close to the same, right? That's going to be such a good team. I mean, honestly, top 3-4 in the league next year potentially.
What's scary is they're already good.
Right.
I mean, they got to the playoffs. So, like, you add a couple of big-time players. I mean, you don't even have to make a huge free agent signing, if I'm being honest. Like, I feel like they're just that close.
Right.
Add a couple of, like, depth players. They're right there in the mix. So.
Yeah, but, kind of moving on now. 49ers 24, Packers 21. Did you even think it was going to be that close?
No.
I was on the fence, if you remember.
Right.
Because the thing about Green Bay is that, and I'll say this about San Francisco, in order to compete with San Francisco, you have to be able to expose their weakness.
Yes.
Their weakness is on the back end of the defense.
True. Very true.
And Green Bay, they did a little damage through the air.
Yep.
But Green Bay also plays championship football.
Yeah,
they
they
can
do.
run the football.
Yeah.
We saw Aaron Jones doing his thing. How many runs did we see around the end on a sweep where he didn't get touched until he was in the San Francisco secondary?
Right.
Absolutely, yeah.
So Green Bay, they were able, and we got to give them some props for this because that is a good San Francisco front seven.
Oh,
Right.
for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're awesome.
We know the linebackers with Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner.
Scary.
You know, we talk about the linebackers with Baltimore all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
They're equally as good, if not
Oh, yeah.
better, or just a little bit behind.
Absolutely.
San Francisco's D-line, Javon Hargrave, Buckner, Nick Bosa.
It's not fair.
It's not.
It's not fair.
Man, some teams just got it made, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just wow.
Yeah, so Green Bay, they played a great game. Jordan Love, he played another great game.
He did.
Aaron Jones in that run game, doing what they do.
Yeah, especially when the 49ers pinned him up in like the 10-yard line or whatever. And then
Yeah.
Aaron Jones just drops that, 49-yard run or something like
Tall
that.
sweep to the left, power sweep. You got guys getting out and pulling to the left. It was a beautiful thing to me
Yeah.
as a football fan because power football is what I grew up on.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love to see it no matter who's doing it.
Yeah.
You know, so 40 to 50-yard run right away. And again, he's not even getting touched.
Yeah.
He got around left end and made a cutback. And by that time, he still hadn't gotten touched. And he's 20 to 30 yards up the field.
Yeah.
And that kind of talent is scary. And, we saw that as well kind of approaching the end of the season as well when he was rounding back into form after that injury that he really just started heating up. And
Yes.
at the right time, obviously, because, that very much helped him win the Cowboys game. That definitely helped him get close with the Niners. And if we're being really honest, I think Green Bay really could have easily won that game had a couple things fallen their way. And kind of moving into that, right? It was a first down, right? Like
Yeah.
it was a first down. That fourth and one, right?
Yeah, that was a
Quarterback
bad
sneak.
spot.
That was really bad.
It was a horrible spot.
Yeah. I'm in agreement with you gentlemen on that.
Yeah.
And wow. I say to that point, refs, y'all got to get it together. Y'all have got to get it together. You can't, because now you're in the most important part of the season. It's win or go home. There is no next week.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the most important part of the year. We're in the championship round now. We're in the conference championship round now. You guys have got to get it together because I tell you, I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist at all.
Right.
But sometimes you see certain things go down and it makes you wonder, yo, what is this about?
Yeah, especially when it changes the outcome of a game. That's when it's like it's most important because the Packers, had they not gone for it, I mean, in the end they lost by 3. They kick a field goal, it's a tie game. Like they very easily could have won it either way. I mean, if they get that first down called,
Right.
they could have scored a touchdown too.
They could have.
So-
Absolutely.
I mean, they were at that point there. It was what they had like 6 points on the board already, just
Yeah.
because they were only scoring field goals at the time.
Yeah.
But I mean, you get a touchdown at that point. It's what 13 to whatever. I
Yep.
mean, you're getting
13-7.
it would be 13-7 at that point. I mean, that's such a difference.
Yeah, it completely changes the way the game's played, especially early in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, obviously it matters more in the fourth quarter, but like if you get that touchdown earlier, then that completely changes the way San Francisco has to play it from that point on. That completely changes how the Packers are playing it from that point on. So, I mean, it's unfortunate to have games like this that are really good overall.
Right.
It's come down to crap like that.
Yeah, that was one of the best games of the year.
Yeah, for sure.
Top
was
5
fantastic.
by
Yeah.
far.
Yeah.
And so at that point, it still could have gone either way. But if they get that right, yeah, you got questions.
Yeah.
Like, does Green Bay win it or does San Francisco still find a way?
Right.
Yeah.
Both of those conversations are legitimate.
Yeah.
'cause
Absolutely.
You can really ask the question right now, did the 49ers deserve to win that game? And obviously there were a lot of players that made a difference. And obviously, Debo was out and that makes a big difference as well. But you can make an argument for both, yes and no, that maybe they didn't deserve to win the game or maybe the Niners did deserve to win that.
Well, I can't even say that San Francisco didn't deserve to win it. And I say that because San Francisco still had to fight tooth and nail to win.
Right.
They still had to come up with a big turnover in the end.
Right.
To win. Green Bay still had a shot.
Absolutely.
They did.
To go to the length of the field and win the game. So you talking a big interception by was it Greenlaw? Yeah, it was Dre Greenlaw.
Yeah, it's Dre Greenlaw.
Yeah, he came up with a big interception in the end to shut it down. So at that point, yeah, you could. San Francisco, they definitely deserve to win.
Especially not playing with Debo because he went out early in the game,
Right.
like first quarter.
Second quarter, it was a little bit before halftime.
Okay, got you.
It may have been, it may have been late first quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was sometime in the first half because I know he didn't play at all in the second half.
Yeah, and like you can also make the argument if he plays in the second half, this game could be completely different too. It could be 31-21 at that point. You never know because Debo's one of those players. You get him to him on a quick slant, he might take that 70 yards.
You can line him up and running back.
Yeah.
Hand him the ball on an ISO or a draw play.
I'll put him at quarterback, honestly. They
Honestly,
could have last year in the championship game. That's
Yeah.
all I'm saying.
Yeah, Debo does it all.
Yeah.
He really does.
Yeah, one of my favorite players in the league,
Yes.
regardless of what team he plays for.
Yeah.
That's a guy that I want on my team every Sunday.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely said, to y'all off camera, but I like the 49ers as a group of players, but I don't like them as a team.
Same here.
That's fair.
Same here. It's a lot of guys on that Niner team, starting with Trent Williams.
Yeah.
Of
so
course,
fun.
Debo, Christian McCaffrey. I love, as an ex-linebacker, I love all of their linebackers.
Yeah.
Those are probably my two favorite guys on that team. So yeah, I'm with you on that. Absolutely. It's why do they have to play for them?
I know. like okay, if this was even like, I don't know, the Bears or something like that, right? Like say it was literally the same exact franchise, but just labeled as the Bears, I would like this team.
Yeah, I wouldn't care.
Somehow they'd lose in the wild card round, though. You know that.
Yeah, it's Chicago, and of course I got to admit my despiseness for the 49ers team comes from being a youngster growing up as a Cowboy fan.
Yeah.
When I started watching Cowboy football in '87 and '88, the Cowboys were 3-13 and 1-15.
Yeah.
In '88 and '89, where the 49ers were dominating.
Yeah.
And so I had some buddies of mine that still are 49er fans to this day. They used to tease me second and third and fourth grade. They would give me the blues about it, man.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's where a lot of that comes from. But at the same time, like you said, the 49ers, that's championship football.
Yep.
What they do is championship football.
Absolutely.
Rushing the passer.
Definitely.
Stopping the run.
Well, they didn't really stop Aaron Jones, but that's a different story for a different day.
That was
Yeah.
more so about what Green Bay was doing, too.
That is
Yeah.
true. That is
Very
true.
true.
And that's credit to the Packers.
Yeah.
They went in there and they played a great football game.
For sure.
Against a great team.
Yeah, I definitely think, in the trenches they stepped up, especially in the playoffs.
Yes.
Because you could say when they were 2-5 or something like that, nobody on that team was playing good.
Yeah.
But they figured it out, and honestly, credit to the coaching staff, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That they brought that team of young players. They were the youngest players or the youngest team in the playoffs, right?
Playing with house money.
Right. So, credit to that coaching staff for really bringing that together.
Yeah, I think we learned a lot about Matt LaFleur and how good he actually is without Rodgers, especially.
Right.
Which we can say whatever we want about Rodgers' playoff success and everything, but Matt LaFleur did a hell of a job this year.
Absolutely.
So,
100%.
yeah.
Yeah, it reminded me somewhat of Pete Carroll with the Seahawks last year, how we learned he's a good coach without Russell Wilson. You can credit a lot of what, Geno Smith did to him, right?
Yeah. Right,
Because,
right.
he comes in and everybody thinks they're going to be garbage, like, like 2-15 or something like that. And they come in and drop the season they had.
I think they won 10 games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were great.
Yeah, Seattle plays some very good ball, and they put Geno Smith in a really good situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, what Seattle has to do, not to get too far off track, Seattle has to start retooling their front seven.
Yeah.
I love what they have on the back end, especially at cornerback with Witherspoon and Woolen.
Oh yeah.
They got something great going on with that secondary, but they have got to retool that front seven, especially if they're going to be dealing with San Francisco and the Rams
Oh,
in
absolutely.
the division twice
Right.
a year. So that's where that needs to start. Rebolster your front seven, rebolster your offensive line, get back to running the football and eat on the play action.
Yeah.
I mean, you even know that Arizona's going to start stocking up soon.
True. They got a lot of draft capital.
Yeah, they have
do.
so
A lot
much
of-
draft capital right now, and they're going to stock up. They could be very scary here in a couple of years.
Absolutely. Yeah, Arizona's got some guys that I like, whether it's Kyler or James Cook. A lot of guys over there in Arizona. Kazir White at linebacker.
Yeah.
I really like him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, I really like him. So, yeah, we need to keep our eyes on the Cardinals and see how they do going forward.
Absolutely.
I mean, you saw them pull out that stretch, especially at the end of the season, where they were playing some very good football for what they had.
Yeah.
Smash mouth football, too. They were running the football. James Cook and Carter, the gentleman that they got from the Jets.
Oh, yeah. Michael Carter. Yeah.
Yeah, they got Michael Carter over there, too. So they have some good pieces in place. They just need to continue to build around that.
True.
Yeah, they have a lot of pieces.
Yeah.
And Jonathan Gannon, a head coach, who I think is
He's really good.
He's very good, and I don't think he gets enough credit for what he did do this season.
Yeah.
He's going to do great. I like him a lot.
Yeah, there's a good reason why him and Shane Steichen are were hot names last year.
Yeah.
But kind of moving on, right? Lions 31, Bucks 23. What a game!
Go Lions. I love them. Love them so much.
I was so happy for that city, seeing them, advance as much as they did, and having 2 home playoff games, right?
Yes.
Like, you don't have a home playoff game in 31 years or something like that, and then you have 2 in a row.
And that was the first playoff win that they had. I gotta stop showing my age. Before this year, their last playoff win was the 91-92 season against Dallas.
Wow.
I remember watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they went. Yeah, they. I gotta stop doing this, man. I can't help it though. Yeah, it was great to see Detroit do that.
Yeah.
And one thing I will say is that it all runs in cycles. Every team is going to have their day when they're great. Every team is going to have their day when they're good, mediocre, and trash.
Very trash.
Happens to everybody. Cleveland has gone through it. Cleveland isn't far away. They're not far from. I know that's another rivalry.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I know you don't.
I get it,
But it is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, Cincinnati, another rival of yours. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't mean to keep doing this to you.
It's fine.
I mean,
They're doing it to me, not you.
You right.
Yeah.
You right. And as a Dallas fan, I mean Philadelphia.
Yeah.
There was a time when we didn't think Philly would ever get it done. 2017 rolls around, and then 5 years after that, they're in another championship game playing for a right to win it last year. So it all runs in cycles. And Dallas right now, I feel like they're in a spot where Kansas City was.
Yeah.
Because there were some years where Kansas City had quite a bit of talent.
Yeah.
And they could never get it done. But more importantly, Dallas can't stop the run.
That's correct.
It's like beating a dead horse.
Yeah.
We've indirectly brought it up 4 or 5 times already today. But it's true.
Yeah.
Championship football, running the football and stopping the run.
Yeah.
That's where it starts at. And all the teams left, they can all run the football. All are pretty good at stopping the run.
The main thing that scares me about the Lions, though, is their secondary. Like, they can't defend the pass either. So that's where I'm like, a little finesse from the Niners might take them out. And, like, the Niners might not have to play playoff football. That might be one of those. I could see it going 35-34. I could also see it going like 17-14.
Right.
I don't know. We'll see, but I don't know. The Lions, as much as I love them, I'm excited for them. I'm glad they beat the Bucks. But, oh, man, they do scare me. They do not win cleanly at all.
No, they don't.
The Lions are a lot like Dallas, where there's going to be drama.
Yeah.
They're going to things that you think should be easy.
Yeah.
Nah, they're not gonna make it easy.
No.
Nah, they
No.
gonna throw a wrench in there
Yep.
somewhere themselves. Whether it's Dan Campbell being too aggressive, which at times I love.
Oh yeah.
Going for 4 times in a row, 3 times in a row, whatever it was.
Like,
I mean,
what
that's
are you
what-
doing,
Yeah,
coach?
exactly.
That's what lost them the game. I mean, you can't do that. You can't be that.
And Baker carved them up pretty good. Baker
Yeah.
Mayfield carved them up pretty good.
Yeah.
So one thing about it, if you go in that game against San Francisco playing the way you did on defense against Tampa Bay, yeah, that thing could get ugly. Now, on the other hand, San Francisco cannot play run defense against Detroit like they did against Green Bay because Detroit's going to beat them.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs are going to tear them apart.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you saw that burst that Jahmyr Gibbs had, didn't you? Like, I mean, that was that long touchdown he had. I mean, that was fast. I mean, he was looking like, he was looking like Barry out there. I mean, like
Antoine Winfield is an all-pro safety.
Exactly.
And he
It's insane.
embarrassed him. He undressed
Yeah.
Antoine Winfield on that touchdown run.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
And honestly, if it weren't for C.J. Stroud, Jahmyr Gibbs might be Offensive Rookie of the Year.
oh yeah. Well,
Just saying.
if it wasn't for CJ, it would be Puka.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine. I'll give you that one.
He should be
Either
third,
way,
though. He should be.
You
third
can make
there.
an argument.
Puka tore it
either
up,
one.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Puka was so much fun.
He really tore it up out there in L.A. and he
Yeah.
had them. That's a game we could have gone another direction.
Oh, yeah.
Rams in Detroit.
I'm proud of you. You stumbled me on that one. That was good.
It was.
I did not think of that, but yeah.
I didn't think of it.
Yeah, I
I
was
mean,
like,
some people are still talking about Puka should be Offensive Player of the Year or
Honestly,
Rookie of the Year. So I mean, some
no.
people are.
But yeah.
Not the smart ones, but some
Yeah.
people are.
Well,
Yeah.
the thing is that the quarterback position is more important than the wide receiver position.
Yeah.
Now, Puka, you got Matthew Stafford out there slinging a rock to you.
Yeah.
You know, as to where C.J. Stroud went in. How many games did Houston win last year?
They were
Not
like
even
2-14-1 or something like that. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, they didn't win many games last year. So C.J. goes in, he wins the division, and was really carving up teams with his own.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you got to give him Rookie of the Year.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, and plus you saw as well how well the team played when he was there, and how
Yeah.
bad they played when he wasn't.
There's a
Very
difference.
true.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely C.J. is getting Rookie of the Year, but I do like the choices of Puka and Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of good offensive rookies this year.
Sam Laporta.
Yeah, Sam Laporta.
Sam Laporta is a beast.
He
Love
made
him.
the All-Pro team too.
Yeah. He's a top
Yeah.
3 tight end right now. Like, no
Yeah.
one can change my mind. I'll take him over George Kittle at this very moment.
Right.
Oh,
That's
Yeah, I'm sorry. George Kittle's really good, but Sam Laporta is a game changer.
so is George Kittle.
Oh, he's really good at football. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. Right now, I will take Sam Laporta's youth, and I will take his passing numbers because yes, I get it. George Kittle's the best blocking tight end in football. I will give him that for sure.
Best tight end in football, period.
Really, best tight end in football?
Yeah, I got Kittle over Kelsey too.
Well, I respect that. I don't like Kelsey,
Yeah.
but
We're gonna talk about that.
Yeah,
later.
we're gonna talk about that.
I do think Sam Laporta, he's one of the guys that are next up. Him and Jake Ferguson,
absolutely.
those guys are really coming along and they're gonna tear it up. But Kittle, man, that's the guy right there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's it right there. I think him and Kelsey, they set the standard and the mold for what we want in the tight end position right now. And those other guys, those are the understudies. But I like your choice in Laporta. That's
Yeah.
a good one.
I love him. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, Laporta could be 3. I could very much see a world where he's number 3 right now.
What we got Dallas Goedert at though?
Good. I'd have to think about it.
Yeah,
I'd say like not top 5.
I could
Not
see.
top 5.
Well, I'd take guys like T.J. Hawkinson over him though,
Hawkinson is a dog, but
Yeah.
and then
I-
Mark Andrews.
Yeah, Mark Andrews needs to be in that conversation.
I got it. I think Andrews is top 5 with Goddard. I think Goddard is in that top 5 with him too.
I'd
Yeah.
put Goddard like number 6. That's what's tough.
You got him at 6.
Yeah, I mean,
That's valid.
I have to go through a list of them, but yeah, like I'd say probably 6. I wouldn't have him falling farther than like 7 or 8.
right.
But
Yeah.
but definitely somewhere in that 4 to 6. I could see arguments for top 5.
I got you.
I don't know.
And not that he's anywhere near offensive player of the year levels, but I thought Kincaid played very sneakily well.
Yeah,
Yeah, in Buffalo.
especially
Absolutely.
latter half of the year.
Yeah.
He wasn't being used much in the front half of the year, I feel like, but they started figuring it out.
Yeah.
And Buffalo's got a bunch of weapons too.
They do.
And they had to go through a transition in
Yeah.
offensive coordinators when they got rid of whoever that was. Was it Ken Dorsey?
Yeah, Ken
And
Dorsey.
then they made Brady the OC, and
Yeah.
then they were rolling after that. But he's also, Kincaid is sharing touches with Knox,
Yeah.
who I think is really good.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And then at the receiver position, you still got three other receivers up there in Gabe Davis, Stephon Diggs. You got a running game. Buffalo has a solid running game. So, yeah, he was Kincaid was in a situation to where he had to share a lot of touches.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. There's so many like great offensive rookies, like we're saying though. It's been so much fun to watch, and I think this draft's going to have a lot of good ones as well. That's once we get closer to draft, we're gonna we'll talk mock
Can't
drafts.
wait.
We'll do
Can't
all
wait.
that.
I'm
Can't
so
wait.
excited.
I am
Yeah.
so ready
gonna
for
be
mock
awesome.
draft season.
That's gonna be fun.
But next, we do have to talk Chiefs Bills. 27-24. Chiefs win it.
I picked the Chiefs.
I know you did. I don't
I
remember
gotta
if
brag about that.
I think I did pick the Bills, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
I picked the Bills out of hope. I was like, I hope they do it, but I don't know if they will. I was proven wrong. So good for the Chiefs.
The thing about the Chiefs is that, and I believe I spoke on this on another show where I said the only thing they had to figure out is how to get the rest of those guys to start catching the football.
Agreed.
Because that is a lot of their issues.
Yeah.
They play good defense. They have a very good defensive line. And, of course, we know they got a guy on the D-line, and Chris Jones.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's scary.
He can take over a game. They got a couple of good linebackers starting with Nick Bolden.
Yep.
But on that offensive side, it's, again, beating a dead horse. They run the football.
Yeah.
They
The
do.
Chiefs are a physical football team.
Absolutely.
Isaiah Pacheco and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They run the ball like they're angry at the world.
They do.
Their offensive line is putting a hat on the hat and hitting you in the mouth.
Yeah.
And we ain't even talking about the fact that they got the best quarterback in the game.
They do.
All he has to do is make 2 big plays and they're done.
Yeah.
Like the other team's done.
That's it.
It's ridiculous.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And it's not like the defense can do much either, because he'll just run out and throw it across his body and still make a touchdown.
The best at improvising.
It's insane.
It's ridiculous. He can just make plays that nobody else can, and I don't know who we're gonna see in the at least immediate future that can make those plays.
You know what? I feel like being able to extend the play, improvise, having the arm to make every single throw. And we're talking arm strength, but he's got to work on his consistency is Josh Allen.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
You think about it, and Josh is more mobile than Mahomes is.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Even bigger, too.
yeah.
So and his arm strength is up there as well. He has a great arm. He has to work on reeling some things in.
Yeah.
And not necessarily trying to play hero ball at
Yes.
times.
The difference between them is literally football IQ.
Yes.
That's literally the difference. Patrick Mahomes, he reads the field and he makes calculated 50-yard bombs. Josh Allen just kind of throws it 50 yards and sees what happens.
He like Brett Favre.
Yeah. And it's like, that works during the regular season. That's great. You're going to get 10, 11 wins every year. Perfect. What happens when you have to play a good defense like you had to play against Kansas City? You're not going to do it. I mean, you did it against Pittsburgh, but I mean, that was without TJ Watt. And obviously Pittsburgh's offense isn't putting up more than 20. So,
We talked about that.
Yeah.
so like, congratulations. You put up 20 points. You should have won. Good for you.
Right.
But like, I don't know. They are just choke artists.
They are.
They are
And against the Chiefs, that's
just
when
specifically against the Chiefs.
that's when they choke. 'Cause
well,
they can beat
and the
other
Bengals.
teams. Yeah.
Bengals also.
The
throw in
Bengals
there.
handled them last year in the divisional.
They
round.
did.
That wasn't even close.
Yeah.
And you got to look at some of the other things that go along with that with Buffalo is that there was one play before the missed field goal where Allen had Diggs running free
Yes.
on a drag.
Yes.
And he went for the big play. But if he pitches the ball to Diggs can run.
Yeah.
Who knows what Diggs is getting at least the first down.
Oh yeah.
And who knows what happens after that, because we know he's great and run after the catch.
Right.
So you got to go back to that play as well. There was some other drops involved in the game. And of course, Kansas City could have put the game away before that.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Was it Micah Hyde, the safety for Buffalo, that made the great strip on Miko Hardman?
Yes,
Right,
yes,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, when he fumbled it out of the end zone for the touchback. Do we like that rule?
I ain't got no problem with it.
No, I mean, I feel like defense makes a play. Get him the ball.
Exactly.
Like,
Right.
I don't know. I don't think it's much more complicated than that, honestly.
I don't have an issue with it.
Yeah.
I know some people do, but I've never had an issue with it. It's always been a rule. I say we roll with it. And I don't even necessarily blame Hardeman for the fumble.
No.
Right.
He's almost down.
Yeah.
Hyde just made an outstanding play.
Yeah.
Oh,
That was
absolutely.
great defense.
There was
Yeah.
a lot of great defense.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
I agree. I don't know the Bills. I picked them the last 2 years to win the Super Bowl until this year, and I was like, I'm not getting fooled again. I'm not doing it. Not doing it again. And it's simple things. Like, they have so many guys. Like, we didn't even talk about Khalil Shakir. He's been an explosive player over the middle.
Oh, yeah.
Get him involved. Kincaid and Knox is a great tight end duo. James Cook has been a beast.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Latavius Murray's not a bad backup, like, at all.
No.
So it's like, you have all the players in place. Now, I will say injuries have screwed them over.
Right. Yeah. Gabe
Especially
Davis.
on defense. Gabe Davis, they had Matt Milano. That's probably my biggest
That
one.
hurts.
Yeah.
And then Tre'Davious White. So injuries, you can blame that.
But don't blame it because they do this every year.
Well, no, but I mean, feel like it happens every year too, though.
That is true.
Tre'Davious White, I feel like you poke him and he's going to be tearing his ACL. Like,
Yeah, he hadn't played a full season, I think, since 2021.
yeah,
Something
exactly.
like
And
that.
so, I don't know. The Bills are just one of those teams that are just confusing. They should be Super Bowl contenders every year, but I don't see them as a legit threat like any time.
I know because and you also wonder as well, right? Like they've had so many years of, good football and having, decent cap space, whatever, right? But, obviously, that's not going to be that same way forever. How close are we to them not having a Super Bowl window anymore, right?
They have quite a few free agents coming up.
Yeah.
Stephon Diggs, he's on that free agent block, and honestly, I don't think he's going to be with the team.
I think
Yeah,
he might
he's
request a
gone.
trade. Yeah.
I think he's gone.
he might do it this week. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, at the rate he's going, I don't think he wants any part of it anymore. I think he's ready to go to a team that he's going to win on. That being said, like, I don't know. I think he's kind of a diva. I'm going to be honest.
He's a bit of a diva.
Most
But
wide
then-
receivers
yeah,
are.
They
Yeah.
are.
That seems to be a wide receiver trait.
As a Steelers fan, I know.
Yeah, you've had
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I had AB.
Yeah.
You had AB.
AB, Martavis Bryant.
you had Juju.
Juju. Yeah, no, gosh.
Yeah, Juju's a character too.
And then you throw in running backs. We got Le'Veon Bell, whatever. Just keep adding to the list,
Yeah. So where do we think Stephon Diggs would go if he does leave? Because, there is a chance that he stays, but I don't think it's very high. I mean, obviously Trayvon is on the Dallas Cowboys, and don't roll your eyes. Let me just finish, right? There have been talks about him going to the Cowboys. That's been a rumor for a while. Not that I think maybe that Steven, Jerry, any of them are going to bite on it, but
Sounds like you think they will.
But if that front offense wants to win football, win a football championship, that they need to make a signing like that, because Brandon Cooks is a wide receiver 3. And I mean, imagine that duo though. Imagine that CeeDee Lamb duo.
The main
Stephon Diggs.
The main caveat I have for a lot of teams with Stephon Diggs, though, is just the money, because he's going to be expensive to bring in.
Right.
That's why I'm kind of trying to wrap my brain around it. Like, I'm thinking like maybe a rebuilding team. I know Stephon Diggs won't want that, but
Nah,
do
he
the Bills?
wants to win right away.
But like, do the Bills really care what he wants? If he demands a trade, like, at that point, it's up to the Bills. If he's a
Right.
free agent, then Stephon Diggs gets to choose. But if it's a trade, then like he has no say. So
I'm thinking, because Dallas really needs to focus on continuing to bolster the defensive line.
yes.
Right.
the linebacker position, which we can't stress enough. And they need to rebuild the offensive line.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because Dallas's offensive line is not what it was between 2014 and 2016.
And they're old.
Yeah, it's different now. They need to address the running back position. You know, so I know Trevon wants to play with his big brother. He's talked about it.
Yeah.
Stephon has talked about it. I don't think he ends up in Dallas, though.
I agree.
I'm looking somewhere. Don't sleep on the Giants trying to make that move.
I could see that, actually.
They need a receiver.
I can see them going for it.
I mean, what if we see a world where, I mean, the Titans, we'll talk about this a little more, but they just picked up the Bengals offensive coordinator as their head coach.
Yeah.
I mean, and the Titans need wide receivers.
Yes, they do.
I could also see a team like the Colts, maybe. Maybe.
Yeah, because, I mean, you know, you have some young receivers on that team, but I don't think there's a de facto one, is there?
Yeah, no, Pittman's going to be a free agent this year, too, assuming they don't re-sign him, which they could franchise tag him. I don't know, but I don't know what their money situation looks like. That's the difficult thing with these conversations. I don't know their money situation, and quite frankly, I think the cap is non-existent at this point.
It has
When you look at teams like the 49ers, it's just like, okay, come on.
The Chargers. I mean, not the Rams, what they were doing a couple of years
Yeah.
ago.
It's like, the cap.
They were handing out money left and right.
It's like the cap shouldn't. I don't think it really that big of a deal, but I think it might scare some people though, or
Right.
some teams away when they could get younger guys that are less expensive that have the same, not same, like pedigree that he has, but that can actually do the same job serviceably. I feel like.
I'm going to say this too, and I'm going to throw in a wild card. And I don't know if Buffalo is silly enough to trade Stephon within the AFC. Baltimore.
I was kind of thinking about that because I know you don't want it.
I'm cringing.
I know you don't want it, but
Cleveland.
Cleveland.
Just listing all my rivals.
But
But you're
Baltimore
right.
could be a landing spot because they don't. I mean, you know, Zay Flowers, but besides him, who's on the receiving core? You got
Odell is over there.
You got Odell, but he's going to be a free agent. They signed him on a 1 year.
Right.
Bateman's there, but he's not.
He's kind of just there.
Yeah, I mean,
Ain't
he's
none of
good.
them guys Stephon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, then you got to look at the Chargers too. They got a big arm QB out there. Keenan Allen is always hurt.
That's
Mike
true.
Williams is always
Yeah.
hurt.
True.
Put somebody out there on the other side of Quentin Johnston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Keenan Allen could also retire within the next year or two. I feel like he's like in his 30s anyways. He might
Right.
just be like, well, I'm not going to win anything with the Chargers. It's either get out of there now, possibly win something with another team, or just retire. Like there's no point. I mean, if you're just going to put your body through hell, there's no
Right.
point. It's like what happened with Roethlisberger. Obviously different position, but same sort of situation.
Yeah, Roethlisberger had injuries every year.
Yeah.
And still continued to go out there and play, that was one of the reasons why I loved him.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think he played like more than like 5 full seasons.
Yeah.
Which is the
Right.
insane thing. Like,
That's
he
crazy.
Always missed at least 1 or 2 games, and you never knew which ones they were going to be. And it was like it always sucked when it was like a division rival. It's like, come on, the one that matters. Let's go, be here right now.
You know, another wild card, Houston.
Oh.
That could happen. I mean, you either, you know, I don't know what their cap situation is, but
Probably not bad though.
it's probably not bad. You either do that, or if he's up for trade, you trade a Nico Collins and a high draft pick for him.
Yeah.
Jacksonville. I think I don't know what their cap situation is.
It
but
also depends on how they handle Calvin Ridley, because he's also technically going to be a free agent.
right.
We'll see, because Calvin Ridley, I think, was kind of a disappointment this year, so maybe that could actually be a decent trade. Calvin Ridley is cheaper for the Bills, so like honestly, you could just swap those players, a few picks.
That may be
That
actually really
actually-
interesting.
Might make the most sense out of all the things I can think of right now.
That would actually be really interesting, and it'd be interesting to see somebody with, obviously, you know, throw that drop from last weekend aside, somebody with pretty good hands coming onto that team, because Calvin Ridley was a bit of a, you know, he dropped some balls. Let's just put it.
Yeah.
He dropped one behind the Titan defense.
Yeah.
The day that Houston won the division.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence put it in his hands. He's streaking to the end zone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that,
Skill in hands.
and that year off probably hurt him more than anyone could really know.
Right.
Because, like, you're not just going to come back and be number one wide receiver. I mean,
Right.
I think everyone had that expectation.
Yeah.
But also, like, Jags also have Christian Kirk, who's expensive too. And he's honestly a lot better than people give him credit for. Wide receiver 1 feels like it's pushing it because, like, I don't know.
He's a strong 2 for me.
I agree, but I I think a guy like Stephon, you could have a deadly 1-2 punch there. That would be insane. And then Travis Etienne's still a really good running back.
Yeah.
They do need to fix that offensive line because he cannot run for more than like 4 yards a carry half the time. It's crazy. Like, I'll see him get a 50-yard touchdown, and then next thing you know, he's like stopped for -3 yards in 3 straight plays. It's like, what just happened? Like, I don't get it.
He's very explosive. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, you also think about explosive players on the offense as well, right? Like, you have, you know, like you said, Christian Kirk. Evan Ingram is a great tight end.
Yeah.
He's a sneaky good tight end as well. So you
Won
know,
me a fantasy championship. I would know.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice waiver wire pickup.
You didn't like that, did you?
because he beat me. He beat me in round 1. He just like destroyed me because I just made some poor picks. I had Amari Cooper on the bench when he had that 200-yard game.
Oh, man.
265 yards. Let's
Nasty. Nasty.
Don't kill me like that. Don't kill me like that. Oh man.
No, Amari Cooper
too
did it,
easy,
not
man.
us. Yeah. Amari Cooper did it.
Yeah. It was Amari Cooper's fault.
Yeah.
It was Amari Cooper's fault that I didn't win.
Yeah.
Just put it that way.
No.
That's tough.
I still would have won, but, you know,
So it didn't matter.
it didn't, but he's going to make it sound like it did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. Cool. I got to ask one more question before we move on to kind of, you know, buzz around the NFL. You know, there's two big signings, right? In terms of, you know, head coaches / offensive coordinator. But is Travis Kelce back? Because he had a really good game, I thought.
He had a really good game against the Bills.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. The Bills have always played like crap against the Chiefs, and they've always made Travis Kelce look amazing, which, I mean, he is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. He also had three drops in the wild card round.
True.
I'm not going to look past that. He's dropped a lot of passes this year, and I'm not going to say after one game that he's fully back. Because all year I feel like he's struggled. Whether Taylor's in the building or not, he's struggling. And the stats actually back that up. At games where she's there, he does better. Just saying. And then down the stretch, she was there at every game, and it didn't matter. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Well, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. I was just gonna say, like, this, if there's any time for him to heat up, he's heating up at the right time.
Well, yeah.
I also want to bring up, you know, you said he had 3 drops. It was also negative 20 degrees outside. So
Cool.
you're throwing
Playoff football. Deal with it.
You know, you're
I'm from Missouri, okay?
Yeah.
I'm used to it. I walk out in this in negative 20, I'm fine. Okay? He's a football player. He
you're
knows.
also a maniac, so there's a bit of a difference there.
Well, there's that.
Well, you didn't have to throw that part in there. I'm just saying, as a football player, you're conditioned for those, especially playing in Kansas City. I've been there. It is insanely cold. And especially when there's snow and ice on the ground, like, it feels a lot worse than negative 20.
Right.
I can tell you right now, he's conditioned to be in that. There's no reason for him to be dropping passes like that, considering that we all consider him one of the greatest tight ends of all time, if not the greatest. I don't think he's the greatest, but he's one of them. He's up there.
Well, I say, and you took it somewhere where I wanted to go, where you said it's playoff time. And Travis has been there. He's won it. They got 2 rings.
Yep.
So he knows it's win or go home. There is no next week. This is why they brought back a Mecole Hardman for games like that down the stretch to help offset and get some of that pressure off of Travis. So to say he's back, they got Baltimore this week. We're going to see.
Yeah.
But we can't sleep either. Because, again, Kansas City, they won it twice.
Yep.
Yeah, they won it twice. So Yeah, we can't sleep on that. There's a good chance that he may be turning it on at the right time.
Yeah.
And we talked about this as well. People tend to be people were going to sleep on Kansas City when the playoffs started.
I was one of them. I'll admit it.
Yeah.
They flew completely under the
Yeah,
radar.
Definitely.
Compared to what they have been in the past, like I think it was decent reason to, but
Yeah, no receivers.
Yeah.
They're out there dropping the passes left and right. But again, we got Rasheed Rice that has stepped up.
he's good. I like him a lot.
Again, they brought back Miko Hardman. And they're probably a better offense without Kadarius Toney.
Oh, for sure. I mean, let's be honest. Kadarius Toney he's dropped the ball, and
he
literally
lost a couple of games.
Yeah.
He lost him the Lions game.
He's the difference between them being the 1 and 3 seed.
Yeah, for sure.
Like,
Yeah.
actually, legitimately is.
For sure.
Absolutely.
They lost 2 games because of him.
And you could talk about as well, like some people could blame, say, well, Rasheed Rice wasn't doing anything. He's a rookie. He's just figuring out his spot in that offense, right? Like he's started to heat up because he's figuring it out. He's figuring out the speed of the NFL.
Great route runner, too.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
He's fantastic.
Yeah, I love him.
I mean, obviously, like we talked about, SMU product, right?
Richland High School product, Fort Worth.
Yeah, man. And now it begs the question: can the Chiefs win it all again? Because they do have to go up, and we can talk about this as well. We're going to start making our predictions, right? They're going to go up against Baltimore, and like you said, that scary front seven. And if you have anybody locking up Travis Kelce or Rasheed Rice, you want a guy like Kyle Hamilton out there, locking those guys up, right? They have some decent corners as well over there too,
Very good corners.
And there's a lot going against Kansas City, but you also have playoff Mahomes who is
terrifying.
It's terrifying.
Yes, he is.
Regardless of the level of the team, because everybody thought that this was Kansas City's down year. Yet, I mean, they're in the AFC Championship. Patrick Mahomes has never not played in an AFC Championship.
6 years in a row. Mm-hmm. Let me say this. If Kansas City can run the football again, they're winning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because, again, we know Mahomes is the man.
Right.
But Kansas City is a physical football team. If Pacheco and Clyde Edwards-Helaire are getting out there and running the ball, they're winning. Mm-hmm. And they can win it all because we've seen them do it.
Right.
And I'm not picking against them again. I can't. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not rooting for them, but I mean, they've proven me wrong multiple times this year to the point where I have to admit it, I was wrong about them. I thought they were going to be not one and done. I was like, I legitimately thought the Bills were going to beat them.
I did too.
So
I had Miami beating them.
I would have loved that.
Yeah, I didn't have them getting out of the wild card round.
See, I will say with the reason why I didn't pick Miami is just because of the cold. I knew if it's in Kansas City, I think the only one that would be okay is Tyreek Hill, and he kind of was the only one that was okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know, but I look at this roster and I'm just like, I feel like there's so many better teams, and that's what just dumbfounds me. But it really doesn't matter when you have coaching, run game, defense, and then a monster at quarterback. It doesn't matter.
And see, the 2 Super Bowls that they won against San Francisco and Philly. San Francisco and Philly both had better rosters.
Exactly.
Philly, especially last year,
I mean,
had a better roster.
Even the AFC Championship this weekend, the Ravens have the better roster. Mm-hmm. But will it matter? I don't know. I don't know.
Let's pick this game. What do you think? What's going to happen? Because honestly, I'm sticking with Baltimore. I'm sticking with my guns personally. I think that defense is just too good. Personally, I know you have Patrick Mahomes on the other sideline, right? Which is definitely the scariest person, in the playoffs. But
Might be the scariest person alive in general.
I'm not gonna argue with that.
Yeah.
So what are y'all picking?
You go first, Austin.
I'm reluctantly saying the Ravens. The reason I can't get over the fact that this is one of the weaker Kansas City teams that we've seen. That being said, it's still really good.
Right.
But the Ravens are just so well rounded. Like I just look at them and I'm like, their receiver core I think is on the weaker side. That being said, I don't know that it matters when you can run the ball for 250 yards. I don't know you run it for 250 against KC, but I think you can easily get 150 just because they will find a way. Lamar Jackson will have at least one or two big scrambles. Gus Edwards might have like one big run. Justice Hill, all it takes is a couple big pops, and they're there. I mean, if they get out to an early lead, that's going to be the key. If they get out to an early lead, I don't know that Kansas City comes back, which I know they specialize in that in years past. But, like, I don't know that you can play against a team with that good of a defense because I don't think people understand. The Ravens are, like, historically good.
They're really, really good.
The Chiefs are really good, but the Ravens are historically good. That's where I'm like, oh, I can't pick against that.
I mean, you know, they had like the most wins against over 500 teams like ever.
Yeah.
So you can't sleep on that.
All I'm saying, my Steelers swept them. That's all. That's good enough for me. I don't care if we played their backups. We swept them. I'm good. I'm good with that. And so they can have their Super Bowl. That's fine. Go for it.
You know, I'm picking Baltimore, and I'm picking Baltimore because defensively, they do have the guys to match up with Kansas City's offense. Whether it's at tight end, receiver, or stopping the run. Baltimore can match up with them. They can cause fits for Mahomes and that offense. Now, the key to Baltimore, too, you cannot let Mahomes start to improvise.
Absolutely.
When you're playing good coverage on the back end, he starts moving around and all the other pieces get to moving around. You have to play assignment football when it comes to playing Kansas City.
You do.
Because if you go to, if you fall asleep at the wheel, you see him start moving around, you start moving around with him, and then you got guys on that Kansas City offense, they say, well, you moving over there, I'm going to stay right here. Yeah. He's going to find someone that's open.
And I will say, it's what's crazy about this matchup is you could say the same about both teams too.
Yeah.
Because, like, the Steelers have historically played well against Lamar Jackson because they play 4 or 5-man fronts and they collapse the pocket and have a spy. That's how they are able to beat Lamar Jackson. I mean, we've had a lot of historic success. And I just look at a guy like Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs. He knows that.
Yeah.
He knows he is a matchup nightmare.
Yeah.
That is the X factor.
Yes.
Spagnuolo, before, doing his thing in KC, he was the Giants defensive coordinator when they beat New England those 2 times.
Yeah.
Those high-powered Tom Brady, Randy Moss-led offenses.
Yeah.
And he put them to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good call on that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now you got me thinking.
You got me.
I mean, it's got me thinking too. So that's why I'm going back and forth, and I'm just like, I kind of got to go with. My brain says Ravens. I can't lie, my gut is kind of going Chiefs, but I'm gonna stick with my brain.
Man.
Yeah.
That's what makes this matchup so fun. I'm so excited to watch it.
It's gonna be a really really good one.
Yeah.
This is gonna be really good. We have another one on the other side though. Lions Niners. Is this gonna be not as close? Like,
I'm going Lions. I don't care.
What's your reason? Give me a football reason.
Okay, football reason. I'm gonna be honest. I'm kind of light on those right now with the Lions. It is just a feeling I get when I watch this team. Dan Campbell brings energy to this roster.
Yes, he does.
He will. His quote is literally, "I will have my team biting the kneecaps of the other team." Like, that is not a man I want to face. And also, that run game is still really good. There's still solid run defense. They're not bad. It's the pass defense I'm worried about. But if Deebo Samuel's out, which there's a solid chance, who's to say they can't? I feel like they're just such a fun story. No matter what happens in this game, their year's already a success no matter what. Right. And I feel like they're going to use that to their advantage. They're going to play with nothing to lose. The Niners, if they lose this a second year in a row, then, like, there's going to be questions, which I think is a little stupid considering you got there 2 years in a row.
Right.
But there's going to be people that are like, oh, well, they can't get it done. And it's like, well, I mean, sure, I can understand that. But I feel like the Lions are going to come out with just nothing to lose. I feel like that's going to be their mentality. And I think they have a better shot than people realize. I don't know. It's one of those, I can totally see the 49ers blowing them out, but I'm going with my gut on this one, which is the opposite of what I did the last pick. So, I don't know. Both these games I'm a little bit back and forth on, but I'm going Lions.
To his point, San Francisco has been in the NFC Championship game 5 years in a row now.
That is true. And that's a scary proposition.
Yeah.
And now, the football reasoning why to pick Detroit is because when you look at what Green Bay did to San Francisco,
Yeah.
Detroit is a better football team than Green Bay. If they can do what Green Bay did,
Yeah.
Detroit will win. However, San Francisco can adjust.
Yes.
They're still beasts.
And San Francisco's defense have the pieces to match up with the Detroit offense. Now, to that point on the other side, and this is why I'm picking San Francisco, even with or without Debo, you still got to deal with Christian McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell in that run game.
Yeah.
You still got to deal with the best tight end in the game, respectfully, George Kittle.
And you have
Okay.
Ayuk. Don't forget about
Brandon
Ayuk.
Ayuk. He's growing up week by week. And you got Juwan Jennings at receiver. These guys, those receivers play the way they play a Dan Campbell style of football.
They do.
They do.
That's what's going to be fun. It's like they both play the same style of football, and it's wild.
It is.
And the question is, I feel like, there are some teams, right, that they don't play well in emotional football games. Cowboys. There are some teams that don't play well in those situations. I think the team that does is the Lions.
Yeah.
And I think a team that does is the Niners.
Yes.
And that is a scary proposition. You have two teams that play well in emotional games, and how are they going to match up, right? Because they both want to win this game really bad. They have a lot to lose in this game.
Yeah.
The key matchup, watching Detroit's front seven against San Francisco's offensive line, particularly where are they going to be lining up Aiden Hutchinson?
Yep.
Yeah.
How many times are we going to see Aiden Hutchinson up against Trent Williams? Or what Detroit could do, flip Aiden Hutchinson, bring him off on that other side.
Yeah.
Because if there's a matchup that they can exploit in the trenches, it's lining Aiden Hutchinson up against San Francisco's right tackle.
Yes.
I will say too, Detroit doesn't get enough credit for their offensive line. Their offensive line is beasts.
It is very good.
Top 2 in the game.
Has to be.
Yeah.
And they're not number 2.
Yeah. They're amazing.
They're very good. I mean, that's the reason Montgomery's doing so well. Like, let's be completely
That's part
honest.
of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have him, and Jahmyr Gibbs is having his monster season. I mean, obviously, we were all kind of expecting he was going to be really good.
Yeah.
But he's showing time and time again that he can break through and get these big runs. And who can you say had a big part in that? Their offensive line.
Yeah.
Panay Sewell, Decker, and all those guys. Yeah, like I said, top 2 offensive line, and they are not number 2.
Yeah.
At worst, I would say they are like 1A and 1B.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. And I am picking the Lions because I think they're going to play emotional football. And I think that's scary. And I think Dan Campbell is going to call the game emotionally.
Which
And
is
I think
scary
that's
also.
Scary.
I mean, it's scary in both ways because you could see that going really bad, like we saw it against the Cowboys. Well, we could also see it going really well.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if they come out launching the ball down the field and they hit on a couple of them, that's all it's going to take. I mean, well, I shouldn't say it's all it's going to take, but if they get out to a fast start and they play like they have nothing to lose, then like who knows? They could.
And the thing is, you can't play too emotional. Though.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because what you don't want to do is get too emotional and you get away from playing football.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
And that's where you got a guy like C.J. Gardner-Johnson on the back end, very emotional football player.
Yeah.
Wears his emotions on his sleeve.
Yeah.
Right.
So they have to reel some things in.
Absolutely. And they also need a big game out of Brian Branch too.
Yeah.
They do.
Because those guys in the middle of the field for San Fran are no joke.
Right.
You got to at least have him hopefully slow down George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey, because those are the two ones I worry about over the middle of the field. If you can have a guy in the nickel come down and support and help that, I think that's going to be a key to watch. There's a lot of things to watch in this game.
Yeah.
I honestly still like the Detroit Lions receivers too.
Yeah.
I love St. Brown.
They got great receivers.
Yeah, Josh Reynolds is still pretty solid.
Yeah.
DJ Chark is hurt, but I know he was at one point on the roster, I think. Yeah.
Jameson Williams.
Yeah,
Jameson
Jameson Williams.
He's
can
a big
take
play
a
threat.
Top off of a defense.
And we talked about that. That's San Francisco's weakness is the back end of their defense.
Right.
Same with both teams.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So Detroit being able to run the ball, but implementing some play action.
Yeah.
You get Jameson Williams going on the back end of that defense. Goff, you just got to make the throw.
Yeah.
Yep.
And at the same time, San Francisco, if you're able to run the ball, implement some play action, You got Ayuk getting loose on the back
Yeah.
end of that defense.
Yep.
And we also forget Jared Goff has been to a Super Bowl too.
He has
Like
been there.
lot of people don't talk about that.
Yes, he has.
He's got
So-
the experience.
I think it's going to matter a ton in this game? Not necessarily because it was a while ago, I feel like, and also the Lions roster as a whole hasn't been there. He has, the Lions roster hasn't.
Right.
So I don't think it'll make a massive difference, but I think it does help, and especially because he's a veteran quarterback. We all know that the quarterback is the leader of the roster.
Right.
They're going to need him to step up and be the leader, and so we'll see.
Good call on that.
Yeah.
We'll see. Well, we're going to find that out this weekend, but we thank you so much for watching the Tyler Show. I thought this was a really good episode for sure. I thought
Absolutely.
we had some really good points. I think there's a lot to watch this weekend, but we thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Hey, thanks, Matthew. Thanks, Austin.
My man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming out. We'll see you guys in the next one.